Your father passed away. How old were you?
I was 2 years old. He was killed when I was 2.
2 years old.
Yeah.
Now, when the holiday in America of Father's Day comes around, obviously you have a child.
I have a daughter. Yes, I do.
But before then, when it comes to Father's Day, how did somebody fatherless like yourself deal with something like that? When that holiday rolled around.
Well, I'm not fatherless, Smallz. My father's just dead. I got a father. How does somebody fatherless like somebody who was grown in an egg like yourself, Chico? Nah, man. You know what,
know
man?
What I mean, technically.
Yeah, of course I do.
Right.
I'm just fucking around, man. But the crazy thing is, I've always had a great support system, man. And my mom and my uncles, I grew up around some of the coldest dudes in the world. And I was able to get a lot of what I was supposed to get from a man from them. You know, you still, of course, need your father, but, you know, it got easier over time as I started to develop into the man that I was. It was easier for me to deal with him not being there because I had to take on the responsibility. You know, and once I started to take on the responsibility, I realized that even if he was alive, he would be telling me, this is what a man is supposed to do. This is what manhood is about. So I've been able to, you know, get through a lot of the things. And of course, it was tough when I was little, but Father's Day really wasn't the toughest day. You know, it was more so when I had sporting events or when I did, you know, different type of things that I would want my dad to be at, or father, son, whatever. You know what I mean? Those are times when it was tougher, but that one was when I was little. So, you know what I mean, I would just say that during Father's Day, I was just, you know, reflective of me not having a dad, but also understanding that, you know, if God ever blessed me with the opportunity to be a father, what type of father I would want to be. And also just knowing that, you know, in believing what I believe there is a God, and I believe you go somewhere when you leave here. I believe that I have a higher power of the highest power looking over me. So that's just the way I choose to look at it.
Was that a sad day?
Smallz, you just sounded like a therapist, like a motherfucker.
I'm just
Was
saying.
that a sad day for you? Was it sad? Tell me how you feel. How did you feel about it?
This is what comedians do. You flip it around.
Of course, man. Of course. But no, it wasn't. I wouldn't say it was. It was sad when I was young. You know what I mean? Because one of the first things that I had to learn how to deal with in knowing who I was death. You know what I mean? That's one of the first things I had to learn is, where's my daddy? Your daddy's gone forever. So that part of it was harder than dealing with a day. You know what I mean? That's just one day. Father's Day is a day. I don't have a father every day. And I don't have a choice. It's not like that he just said, fuck it, and didn't want to take care of me and we can mend the relationship. This person's dead. So that was the hard part. Father's Day, to me, was just another day that was just more, it was more emphasized on the reflection that I had to go through on a daily basis, but it was never overbearing so much so because I was dealing with it on a daily basis anyway.
What do you say to somebody watching this and, you know, Father's Day is about to roll around and, you know, they don't have a father in their life for whatever reason, dead or just not there or, you know, a multitude of reasons. Somebody that's not having a father around, what do you say to that person? Any advice?
Yeah. One of the best pieces of advice that I can give somebody who doesn't have a father is you have to, even if you, especially if you're younger and you're watching this and your dad isn't around, it's not going to make no sense to you now, especially young men and young women. I don't want to single anybody out, but it's not going to make any sense to you now. But as you grow older and start to go through things in your life, you realize that everybody's not as strong as you would need them to be. And usually when a parent, especially a father, decides not to be in that child's life, it's because they lack strength in some way, shape, or form. And if you're lucky enough for your father to still be out here somewhere, whether the relationship is, you know, is strained or not, you know what I mean, that strength can be gained, you know what I mean? That's the beauty of being in a situation, to try to keep a positive outlook if your father is still alive but not around. You know what I mean? He's weak in some way, shape, or form. Whatever that may be is something that, you know, you and that person will have to discuss whenever that time comes. Hopefully it does, but they're weak in some kind of way, and they got to, you know, figure out how to build up the strength to not be weak in that area anymore in regards to especially being in your life. Now, if your father is dead, then you have to understand that, you know, hopefully you pray and hopefully you believe in a higher power. If you don't, you know what I mean, that's another conversation. But just know that, you know, energy is everything. And that energy that's gone is energy that you're being able to draw from, whether you know it or not. And, you know, just try to keep yourself positive as possible and stay influenced by positive people. Find people who, you know, older people, you know, especially male influences if you can, because that's what's lacking. Find somebody who, you know, you look up to and just talk to them. Get them to give you game, you know what I mean, that you can use. Because basically all that a father really does is a father guides you through this life and teaches you, you know, when you fall and bump your head, this is how it's supposed to be dealt with. Hey, Pop, this is this and this is that, you know, in regards to how you develop into growing into a young man or a young woman. So if you can find somebody who can, you know, love you enough to give you just as much of that as they possibly can, you'll be able to get through it a whole lot easier than if you try to do it on your own.
Now, because you have a daughter and your father wasn't around because it was beyond your control, do you overcompensate?
In some ways, yeah. I mean, but not purposely. You know what I mean? It's just the natural order of things. You know what I mean? You're looking at something that you're responsible for. I bust the nut that brought her here. I'm responsible for her being here. So therefore, I need to make sure that I'm doing the best that I can to guide her through the life without having her go through the things that I went through that I didn't like going through as a child. And one of those things was growing up without a father. So I do overcompensate in a lot of ways, but I also lose in a lot of ways with my child because I travel so much and what I do for a living. So my overcompensation kind of is justified because I lose a lot of time with her. So that overcompensation is kind of me kind of just trying to bunch as much as I can up in, you know, the time that I have to let her know that I'm willing to do whatever I can to make you know that any absence that I do have in your life is because I'm working towards the greater good of your life. And this is a result of that. So that's basically how I overcompensate. Like, baby, we're able to do these things because daddy's gone a little bit more than the average dad would be gone. But, you know, that's my way of, I guess, overcompensating. But as far as the love of my child, I don't think there's any such thing as overcompensating in that regard.